Hey guys, it's Friday, which means one thing. It's the weekend! Woo! No, it's
almost
Q&A number 10. Or, as of February, it's gonna be hashtag Ask Mark. So if you've got any questions for Mark or from myself about anything else, but mainly Mark, because obviously this is a scuba diving channel, he's the expert, please use the hashtag AskMark. So then when it comes to searching for questions, we will just type that in and then all the questions would appear in the comment section on YouTube. So yes, please use the hashtag AskMark pretty much from now on. Would you agree, Mark? From now on?
That's how hashtags work.
There you go. So yes, please do that. Anyway, we've got 8 fantastic questions that you guys have submitted on YouTube, on Facebook, and our Instagram, and obviously Mark is going to go through them. But before we start the show, we're not sponsored, but I just want to ask Mark, how are you? How's your cough? How's everything?
I'm all right. My cough is hopefully on the way out. I've got some medication from the El Doctor, so hopefully that's going to sort of knock that on the head and get rid of it. Otherwise, yeah, all is well. I've moved my bench around, so instead of being like across, I'm like straddling it like I'm riding a pony, which is a little bit weird.
Oh, that's how I sit
something different,
mate. That sounds
well,
good.
Well, that way I can kind of adjust like where I am in relation to the camera. So I don't know. We'll find out.
I sit on a rather, it's not uncomfortable, but if you see movies and TV shows, like if they go to, basically there's a chair that's designed, that is in pretty much every movie. It's like a metallic, so basically I think it was made in the Navy.
Oh, yeah.
And they made it mass produced, and I've got one of them, and I sit in it all the time, every day, but it isn't a relatively comfortable one. It's quite cool. Hold on, I'll show you. Oh, you can't even see it. It's too short.
No.
So maybe I'll get a cushion.
What you need is a stand-up desk. It's much better because apparently, and I heard this yesterday, sitting is the new smoking.
Is it?
We shouldn't be sitting. We should be standing up.
Yeah, but smoking's cool. So that means then sitting's cool. So we're cool, Mark. Smoking is not cool. Do not do it. It's naughty.
Are we the cool kids?
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, I heard that some people have asked us some questions that they want answered.
Maybe. I don't know. Apparently so. So let's crack on with it. So the first question is from Chris Hools. He left a question on our Apex RK3 HD post over on Facebook. So he says, how are they for people with rubbish legs that are prone to ankle ache and shin splints? Crikey. I have atomic split fins on one end and Maras and Quattros on the other. Quattros can ache a bit in current. Thanks. So, RK3s.
Yeah, the RK3, the HD version especially, is probably going to be worse because they're a stiffer blade. They're great if you have strong legs because they can really transfer the energy from your legs to the water. So they're much more efficient, but if you have sort of weak ankles or sort of leg issues, then I think you've already got the best thing for them, the split fins, because they don't require a lot of energy. They do struggle in some sort of fin cycles and whatnot. They can only do a pretty standard like sort of scissor kick, but yeah, they don't take too much out of your legs. So I think you've already got your best sort of your best option there. The RK3 HDs, no, they're going to be worse for you because they are going to really tire you out. It's the same with freediving fins. So freediving fins usually come in sort of 3 different blade stiffnesses. So you get really soft, which is great for just kind of ambling around. You get like a medium stiffness, which is your Goldilocks, and then you get a stiff blade, which is for pure like force, but it's more for training, because if you wore them for too long, they really do take it out of your legs because they use a lot of energy. So no, if you do have sort of weaker legs, weaker ankles, no, just go with split fins because yeah, you're just going to suffer and you're not going to enjoy it. So it's not worth getting a stiff pair of fins.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Chris. Second question is from another Chris, but this is Chris O. That's his name. He left a comment on the products that will change the way that you dive. He said, "What is the warmest water you can comfortably dive in a dry suit without any, insulation garments underneath?"
There is no real upper limit. Because, especially if it's just a trilaminate, like a membrane dry suit, that in itself has no thermal sort of benefit to you. So you could wear one in the tropics. There would be nothing sort of stopping. Well, there'd be one thing stopping you, and that would be your surface interval, because in the tropics, in a dry suit, on the surface is just gonna suck and be just uncomfortable. But actually in the water, you won't notice that much of a difference. I've seen plenty of divers diving in dry suits in the Red Sea and in the sort of really nice warm waters. So there's no real. The only upper limit is when you're on the surface in the direct sunlight, because under the water it won't be too much of an issue. Even when it's sort of 20 something degrees, that's still colder than your natural body temperature. Because a lot of the world record attempts, the one, I forget the chap's name, but he spent 5 or 6 days underwater in the Red Sea, and yeah, he did that in a dry suit just for the added exposure protection, because no matter sort of how sort of warm the sort of water temperature is, it's still sapping heat out of your body, and your dry suit is there to sort of protect it. Obviously, if it's a big, clunky, like a rubber dry suit, like a Viking or a neoprene dry suit, then you do have that sort of extra, and you don't want to overheat. But no, there's no real boom, this is it. Above that sort of water temperature, you shouldn't wear a dry suit. It's just people don't really tend to, because of the added rigmarole and all that kind of stuff. So no, I'll happily dive in my trilaminate dry suit sort of all year round in the UK, and then if I was to sort of go out to Egypt, if I wanted to, I could take my dry suit, but more realistically, I'm just going to bring my shorty. Meh.
Cool. I don't know if this would really apply, but I guess when you're on the surface as well, it depends on how your own body temperature works, how you feel the heat. Because I'm a very warm person, should I say? I'd sit on a chair, and then within 5 minutes, that chair's a little bit, especially if it's a sofa, it's a little bit warm. My cats have a tendency of, in the wintertime, as soon as I get up, they run to where I sit and snuggle in because it's so warm.
Always nice.
Yeah. So maybe something like that. But yeah, no. It's very interesting to know.
Yeah. It is just kind of one of those things that you kind of have to test out. But when you're actually in the water, it shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. I hope that helped you out. If you do any tests, Chris O, let us know in the comments. Let us know how you get on. And update everyone. So then if there's anyone else that's thinking about wearing a dry suit in warmer waters, if you've got any tricks as well, pop them in the pop them in the comments below, and the more information.
I have an anecdote where I was taking a group of new students out. We did the pool work and the classroom work at home here in the UK, and then we flew out to the Red Sea, and they were asking me sort of what type of wetsuit they should bring. I was like, for this time of year, just a 2mm shorty, if anything, because it should be sort of nice and warm. Dive number one, we're sort of moored up against another day boat, and I'm like, right, let's go down and sort of start getting kitted up. And they kind of look over to the divers on the other boat, and they're all in dry suits and hoods and gloves and all that stuff. And they kind of look to me, kind of like, are you kidding? They're wearing dry suits and stuff. You told me to bring a shorty. I was like, you'll be fine. They're either going for a really long dive or a really deep dive. They're in their dry suits, but yeah, we were in 2mm shorties, perfectly fine and warm, but yeah, they're still diving in their dry suits. So it's not really a sort of an upper limit. It's only just make sure you don't get heat exhaustion on the surface, basically.
Yeah, cool. Hope that helps out. So the third question is from Larry Tex. He directed us, or he's messaged us, sorry, on Facebook directly. He says, "Hey Mark and Sean, I saw that there's a relatively new BCD from Aqualung called the Omni. We spoke about that a couple of times, and there's either a product overview that has gone live or it's just about to go live, something like that. But yeah, anyway, the Omni caught his attention. Do you have any thoughts, on this model and stuff?"
Well, seeing as he mentioned you by name, Sean, I think you should put your thoughts.
All right,
first.
okay. Well, the Omni, what I really like about the Omni is its customization. When it comes to BCDs, they're obviously depending on the type of model, but if you go for entry level, they're kind of cumbersome. They're quite chunky. They're quite big and heavy. Like you look at them and you're like, oh, that's definitely a BCD, and it needs to be like that. But what I like about the Omni, editing Mark's videos, is that the fact that it's customizable, that you can get a shape. You can now get a BCD to shape you, which is going to make your dive more comfortable, which is going to make you more comfortable. And that means in the long run, you're going to be more comfortable in the water. It's just, it seems like a win-win. And also as well, if things break, if you need to upgrade, things are looking a bit shabby, just swap it over. You put on a bit of Christmas weight, get a bigger band for you. You lose some weight, swap it out for the smaller one. They come in different colours as well. So one year you might like yellow, and then next year, like Mark this year, it's going for bright pink. So if they've got it, you can do the trim. And also as well, like you say in the product review, if you're a family of divers, you've all got the Omni. The fact that you can customise your kit, it just means that other people aren't gonna, steal it or accidentally put yours on. And again, even if you're not diving with your family, if you're on a liverboard or whatever, you definitely know what your BCD is, because it's got the bright pink, hot pink trim to it. Is that all right, Mark?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Touched on sort of most of the notes there.
Get it.
Yeah, so that, as he says, it's modular, so it sort of comes apart. And yeah, if you're an unusual body shape, you normally don't find a BCD that fits you. You can mix and match the sizes of all the different straps. If you regularly go from a thick, heavy, clunky dry suit and then to just board shorts and a rash vest, then instead of having a completely separate BCD or a really big baggy BCD, you just swap some of the straps over, and it's a lot cheaper way of getting a BCD that fits you. It's clever. When I first saw it, I thought it was quite complicated because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of sort of parts to it, and it just kind of it's a little overwhelming. But actually, when you sort of see it in front of you and you see all the different bits and you actually assemble it, you're like, okay, that wasn't that complicated. But yeah, if you ignore all the modularity and all that kind of stuff, it's a tough jacket style BCD. It has plenty of lift. It's got pockets. It's got integrated weights. It ticks all the boxes. So yeah, you get this added benefit of having a modular BCD that can be disassembled for packing or for replacing broken parts. Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with it, to be honest.
And also, it's not like it's a newer brand that it's been on Kickstarter. The fact that it's attached to Aqualung is just means that the quality and the testing that they do. I mean, again, we've been to the Aqualung HQ, and we know what sort of rigorous tests they do up there. So you're assured a very good BCD. Yeah,
and the Modlock system, the way everything kind of attaches itself, is it's all been used before on the Outlaw and the Rogue, so that's been in the water with divers, so they've tested the heck out of it and it works. So no objections to the Omni.
Nice
check
one.
it out.
Hopefully that helps you out, Larry Text. So the next question is from one of our regulars, David Orr. Hey Dave.
David Orr.
How's it going? There seems to be a thing on the channel now with Daily Deco at the moment that everyone just, I love it. Everyone just puts morning chaps. And literally you have within the first couple of hours, it's just morning chaps. Love it. Keep doing that, guys. Anyway, yeah, so he says he left a question on the missing diver found daily deco. He uses this is the first time the hashtag has been used, so he put hashtag askmark, so please keep doing that. That's how we're going to hopefully eventually just find all your questions rather than me or Mark scouring through the comments of every single video. Especially now we're going to be releasing more videos. Specialist video, should we say. There's going to probably be even more questions. So yeah, remember, hashtag askmark. Anyway, he asks, morning, obviously. Hope you're all well and the viewers are well and staying safe. He says, which knives in the Scuba Pro range are compatible with the Hydros Pro BCD knife and accessory plate?
Scuba Pro, so you probably get the Mako. The Mako should fit. There's a steel and titanium version of that. The white tip should definitely fit. I don't think the TK15 will fit. I think that's too big. I think that's only for sort of leg mounts. They've got that cutting hook, that kind of Z knife. I don't think that'll fit. I think that'll only go over like a 2-inch webbing strap. And I think that's it. So yeah, your Mako and your white tip, they'll be your safe harbors. I think the only difference between the two is like the size. The Mako's a little bit bigger. I actually have. So that's a Mako.
Of course you have one.
Of course I have one to hand. Yeah, you get the two little sort of holes in the back, if you can see that somewhere, and that's where the grommets go. So that'll fit. The white tip should be exactly the same as far as distance. I mean, any knife. Where have all my rulers gone? I don't know. Oh, I had a compass with a ruler on it. So any knife that are 10 centimeters apart. With the grommets should fit you fine, but yeah, the Mako and the white tip, they should definitely fit. I doubt the TK15 would, and I think that's about all they really make. So yeah, cool. Those two.
Hopefully that helps you out, Dave. I'm sure you'll let us know in the comments. The next question is from Mohammed. I'm going to butcher your surname. Hasina. I'm going to say that. Hasiana.
Hassanian.
Yeah, apologies about that. He left a comment on the what to look for when buying a dive computer, which is a very good video. You should definitely go check
I did wonder what WTLFWB was, and I was trying to work it out, and I was like, I couldn't.
Yeah, I didn't want to type it all out because that would be half the page. It's a very long titled video. Anyway, it says, do you think built-in compasses and Bluetooth is worth the price? Also, what is your opinion about the SEAC Action HR dive computer? Thanks.
So compass, yeah, I'm not overly fussed about compasses on dive computers. If it has one, great. I wouldn't specifically upgrade. If it only had a sort of a compass as an extra feature. I mean, you can get a wrist-mounted analog compass for what, £40? They're not bonkers expensive. So if upgrading a computer to get a digital compass is any more than 40 quid, I wouldn't really bother. Bluetooth is quite nice. I do use Bluetooth all the time. On my Perdix, I use it to update the software or the firmware in my dive computer, and then I connect it to sort of download dives into my logbook app on my phone. So I do quite like Bluetooth. Again, it's not really something that you get one dive computer and then if you pay a little bit extra, you get sort of Bluetooth. Normally they just have Bluetooth nowadays. But yeah, I do like having sort of Bluetooth. Your opinion about the SEAC Action HR dive computer. So the Action HR is a watch-sized dive computer. It's got a partial dot matrix in the middle. The one thing that bugs me about it is HR. If you normally see like HR after something, you expect it to have a heart rate monitor on it, but it stands for like, it means like high resistance or something. SEAC Action HR. because the first time I saw that they announced it, I saw Action HR and I was like, ooh, oh, okay, they're really like stepping it up. Where is it? Because they only say it like very rarely, and they never mentioned like heart rate monitor, and there's no way that it could have a heart rate monitor by the looks of it. Where is it? I think it is like high resistance.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, sure. But other than that, other than the name, which
You've gone on about the name for about 2 minutes. The guy wants to know about the computer, Mark.
So it's got everything that you need on a dive computer. I think it does free diving as well. It's watch size, so you can wear it day to day. It's a little plasticky for my liking. I quite like a sort of either a metal body sort of dive computer, but doesn't mean that it's not going to fall apart. It's just my personal preferences. It'll have sort of everything that you need for diving and and free diving as well. So yeah, I have no objections to it. I'd happily go diving with it. As I said, it's got that dot matrix in the center, so it can do some really complicated words in the middle, so it's a bit easier to read, but then segment display on the top and the bottom, so for just pure numbers it's pretty easy. I have no objections to it. The only one that bugs me is that it's high resistance or something, because that doesn't really mean anything. I'm desperate to find it now.
Yeah, all right. So it's not like we're in the middle of doing a show or anything, Mark, and people already not complain, but they say about the runtime of these videos is a bit long, and now we're going to have like the next 10 minutes of me watching you and the people that are watching this video watching you find out about a HR thing.
It's the fact that, and they never mention it. You're like, well, you called it the HR for a reason, but it's almost as if they're not proud of it. I don't know. It'll be a fine dive computer. I'll be happy using it. It's got a decent algorithm inside it. I think it's Bielman 16 compartment. So yeah, aired nitrox all the way up to 100%. Yeah, I can't fault it. Full button user interface means it'll be pretty sort of easy to navigate.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Yeah.
Well, all you'll have to do though, you'll probably get it, and if it says HR on it, you'll just scrape that bit off, wouldn't you?
What does this mean?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Anyway, question 6, and I'm gonna say his name properly. You ready? Damn soul. That's his name.
Damn soul.
Damn soul. It's a damn soul. He left a comment or a question, on the Great Mako Escape Daily Deco. He says, "Morning, Mark and Sean. I hope all is well. So far, so good. Thank you very much. Damn soul." I was just wondering. Sorry. I was just wondering, should you be carrying a spare mask while scuba diving with a wetsuit? I believe people carry them with a dry suit, obviously when wearing dry suit, and then he's putting pockets. But you rarely see people carrying them with wetsuits, carrying masks with wetsuits. Should you carry a backup mask when wearing a wetsuit? If so, where should you position it? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you have it, it's useful, but if something should happen in the water and you don't have it, it's just a pain. I mean, I was telling Sean about, I was teaching a student once and I actually forgot my my backup mask. They were doing mask removal and replacement, and when he went to put the mask back on, he just pulled on the mask strap too much and it just pulled it out of the buckle. I was like, ugh. What do I do now? I can either like donate my mask so that at least he can see, but for a few seconds we're both going to be blind, or I can just rethread this kind of mask strap with him sort of blind, and And the thing that I should have done is probably just nicked my dive master's mask and just went suffer, and given that to the student. But
that's why you got kicked out of the scuba diving Illuminati.
That was the event. No, I just rethreaded his mask. The student was top notch. He just kind of sat there. He's just like, okay. I held his hand to basically say, you're all right, just stay here. I'm gonna fix this. And yeah, he just kind of sat there, just kind of breathed, and he was like, rethreaded it, gave it back to him. He put it on, and yeah, signed him off. He was a easy student. Cool. But yeah, if I had my sort of backup mask, it would have been so much easier. And yeah, I've needed a backup mask on multiple occasions because stuff just goes wrong with people's masks. If you don't have thigh pockets, obviously you can get a pair of like tech shorts that have thigh pockets in them. If you have your BCD, you can stow it away in a pocket. The thing is that you don't want to put a particularly fancy mask in. You don't have to buy a really expensive mask as a backup mask. It only has to be a fairly sort of cheap one. One thing that I like to do...
This is great TV. Great TV.
Everything's falling off. Is on my backup mask. Oh, it's black on dark green. Is I put a O-ring over the buckle. If you can see that, you really can't. But I put an O-ring just over the buckle, and that gives me something to sort of clip onto, so I can put a bolt snap on that, and that way I can clip it off to a D-ring. But yeah, if you have absolutely zero storage space, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if you do have like thigh pockets or a pocket in your BCD that isn't being used, then yeah, it's worth. Oh, pardon me. It's worth bringing a backup mask just because. Yeah, I mean, I've been on dives where someone else, the lens is literally just plopped out of their mask, and there's no way that you can clear that. If someone kicks your mask off and you're on a wall dive, that's just going to sink down to the bottom, so there's no way that you can recover that. So yeah, you either have someone who has to surface and potentially do a safety stop completely blind, relying on their buddy to control their buoyancy, or yeah, oh hey, you know what, I've got a backup mask, here you go. It makes life so much easier. But yeah, thigh pockets is traditionally sort of where you put it. If you don't have thigh pockets, then yeah, just be careful. Don't swim too close to someone else's fins.
Good to know. Well, what you should do is you should always carry a separate dive mask, even when you're not diving. You should have one in your pocket at all times, because you never know.
Just all the... Yeah.
You never know what's around the corner, especially in the world that we're living at the moment. Do you know what? Just
useful.
Everyone needs to buy
for chopping onions.
Everyone needs to buy an Ocean Reef full face mask. Then you don't have to wear a face mask.
That's not how they work.
It is.
Sean.
It's exactly how it works. And next question.
Make sure that you fit a filter.
Yeah.
If you plan
charcoal filter. Get one of the Brita filter charcoal filters out one of the drinks. Stick it in
Just
there.
Jam it into the top.
Jam it in. Happy days. Don't do that, you will die. Anyway, so the next question is from again a fan favourite, one of our regulars. RV Billy. Yeah.
RV Billy.
RV Billy. Again, this seems to be the hot topic this week. People asking questions on the missing diver found daily deco. He says, first off, sorry, I've got to do this properly. First off, love you guys, because it's all in caps. You probably can't see it. So shouting at us, so he loves us. We love you too, Billy. It says, so what are the pros and cons of buying a Scuba Pro dry suit versus is it a DUI? I want to call it a DUI. A DUI dry suit, but it's a DUI?
I think
Stop
it is
laughing
officially...
at me and tell me how you pronounce it.
I think it's officially DUI, but I think a lot of us just call it DUI.
DUI dry suit. I hear customer service is unparalleled with DUI or DUI. Any information would help. And then he puts a love heart. Love heart, mate.
Yeah. So the main differences are Scuba Pro are going to be off the rack. So like stock sizes, small, medium, large, and sort of what you see is what you get. Whereas Dewey are like custom. So if you want sort of the arms to be an inch shorter, or if you want it to be sort of slightly different shapes and colours and sizes and all that kind of stuff, they'll do that. It's horses for courses. They're both dry suits. I mean, Scuba Pro are perfectly fine, but yeah, if you're not a like stock standard size, you might find that the boots might be a little bit too big, or the body's going to be a little bit too long. So yeah, it's that kind of trade-off. The main thing is that Scuba Pro, you'll probably get it like pretty quick. So if you order one, if they have it in stock, you'll have it that day. If they don't have it in stock, it will take a few days to come over from Italy, but that's about it. But if you're making a custom sort of Dewey dry suit, then it's going to take like 8 weeks or something, depending on the time period, time of year, how busy they are. So yeah, I mean the better one would probably be the Dewey, because it is made specifically for you. It's not just a off the shelf, yeah, there you go. You can sort of customize and sort of have it exactly how you want it. As far as aftercare, touch wood, I think both are perfectly fine. The only thing that I have noticed on Scuba Pro dry suits was in their neoprene, not the Exo Dry, the Everdry 4. I think they've changed it now, because like the last generation, the neoprene cuff seals, they were quite fragile. People were putting their fingers through them quite easily. Whether that was just user error or because it was fragile, either way, I think they've replaced it now, so they're a bit stronger. But yeah, it's like trying to recommend a car for someone. You can only sort of go so far, and it's like, oh well, yeah, they're both cars, they both should do you fine. Yeah, I'd be happy diving in either. It is worth sort of investing a little bit more in a dry suit, because you're only going to be buying one or two. They do sort of last a long time, so it is better if it fits you properly. The only downside is that, yeah, it probably will cost you a little bit extra, but it is actually sort of honestly worth it. That's why I sort of went for my current dry suit, pay a little bit extra, and yeah, you can sort of customize all the bits and bobs and have it exactly how you like it. And yeah, Dewey, just range of colors. You can really sort of personalize it, where Scuba Pro is literally just black. That's your choice.
Yeah. I guess it boils down to it, like you were saying, like if you've got the time and you've got the money, go for custom. If you don't have the time and you want to spend, or you're not necessarily, if you're a standard fit, but you're either out of budget, or you're going on a dive in a couple of weeks, and you need a replacement, then yeah, Scuba Pro is going to be the one for the winner. Yeah. Tricky one. What do you guys think in the comments? Let us know. Do you have a Scuba Pro? Any issues? DUI? Dewey? Do you have any thoughts on that? We get a lot of questions, Mark, actually, asking us whether we're going to stock Dewey. Just going to put you on the spot.
Dewey are American based, and it's not really something that you can stock.
Oh,
because
of course.
As soon as you stock it, then you need like one of everything. And for a custom made dry suit, it's a little tricky. So I don't know. It's not really my problem anymore, to be honest.
It's not. I'm glad you have that attitude.
It's not my department.
I love the fact that you're finally getting into this mindset, bless you. It's a good mindset to have. I was getting a bit worried about you.
For those who have no idea where the attitude is coming from, it's basically because I was almost the buyer for Simply Scuba, and then when we changed hands, they didn't give me an ultimatum. They basically gave me the choice of, well, you could either go down like the numbers sort of spreadsheet kind of route down the sort of buying route again, or you can do your sort of video stuff and or do all the fun, interesting, like interactive stuff with Sean. I was like, I want to go that way.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's more fun, man.
But it does mean that when I like first started, you're like, yeah, you're like second guessing. It's like, oh, why are they buying that? And it's like, oh, okay, they're buying that.
The amount of times I had to tell you, it's like, it's fine, can't walk, it's nothing to do with you. Stop looking at what they're doing over here and look at these. Basically, you got any scripts for me, mate? You got any videos for me? Come on.
Do your job.
Yeah, come on. No. Well, it's always going to be like that though at first, isn't it? Everyone's got to find their. Simply Scuba is still finding its groove. It's a whole new beast, you know. Yeah. Cool. So there is one more question, and then that's pretty much it for the day. So the last question is from Stephen Wood. He left a comment on the cold water advice. It's a very generic one, so I'm guessing there's probably going to be 2 parts to it, but I'll explain that in a second. Are there guidelines, and then he puts in brackets, do's and don'ts for your tanks and regulators? Because he's put it in the cold water, I'm guessing he might be meaning a cold water setup. But is there also a do's and don'ts for warm water set? Just generalize it, I guess, is what I'm asking about.
Okay.
If you can.
So if you're diving in cold water, the main thing that you want to prevent is ice from forming on your regulators, because when anything goes from a high pressure container to a low pressure environment, it gets cold. It's just how like thermodynamics work. So if you imagine like spraying a can of deodorant, if you spray it for a really long time, it gets cold. So the same thing happens with your regulator. So that's why we have certain EAN standards. So we'll have sort of 250 or sort of EN 250A, which will mean that regulator has gone through rigorous testing in cold water environments to make sure that ice doesn't form. So yeah, if you're diving in cold waters, try to avoid pressing the purge button. Especially around the surface, because as soon as you do that, you have that sudden rush of air rushing through that demand valve, and around water, it's just going to freeze up and you're going to free flow and you're going to lose a lot of gas. As far as the tank goes, not a great deal that you need to do with your tank. There's no like cold water preparation that you can do with it. They're pretty tough and they just kind of do their thing. As far as regulators though, if you're going in particularly cold waters, take your regulators to your dive center and just say, oh, I'm doing a cold water dive, and they can actually tweak your regulators for you, make them a little bit stiffer, so they're less likely to free flow. The second stage, try to avoid sort of purging it. When you're first sort of getting into the water, it's normally quite good to have someone with some warm water around, just so that if something does suddenly free flow and for whatever reason you can't get to sort of shut down the valve, they can just pour a bit of warm water on it. And that should kind of warm up all the sort of moving parts, so it stops the freezing process. In the water, not much sort of happens in there. The only thing is that don't breathe a lot.
Don't pause there. Don't breathe.
don't breathe. That's a bad thing in cold water. No, if you put a lot of demand through that valve, of course you're getting lots of sort of airflow running through it. So if you're like doing a recovery dive and you're having to fill up sort of lift bags and stuff, try and use a separate pony tank. so that if that first stage freezes, at least you can still breathe, and you don't have to breathe through a free-flowing regulator. You can also like feather the valve so you can shut it off if it does sort of start free-flowing. That's about it. There are certain ways that you can prepare certain regulators for cold waters. I mean, I've got a set of Poseidon Cyclones up there that have a separate cold water chamber that you fill with a... you normally do it just with alcohol because that helps prevent it from freezing. But there's a special like fluid or gel that you're supposed to sort of put inside of it. But otherwise...
Jello shot.
Yeah, just
stick a Jello shot in there.
After the dive. But yeah, just take it to your local dive center and they'll be able to sort of tweak it just to make the valve a little bit sort of stiffer. As far as warmer water, that's when you start getting the lighter regulators, because you've got the warm water, which acts as a heat sink to sort of sap the sort of cold, or not really sap the cold out, it's more like pushing the warmth in, as far as thermodynamic go. But yeah, for cold water, you want a huge chunk of metal with big like fins all over it to act as a heat sink to get rid of that cold. But for warm water, you don't have to worry quite as much. So yeah, but double check your regulators first. They'll have EN250 sort of stamped into it, and then sort of just after it, you'll often have like EN250A or EN250A 2014. But in some rare cases, you'll have greater than 10 degrees Celsius. So those are only suitable for warm waters. So don't take them cold water diving because they're just too light and they freeze too quickly.
Yeah. Oh, it's very interesting. Thank you very much for that, Mark. Hope that answers your question. Any other
I feel
tips?
like there's something else, but yeah, I can't.
Right, well, again,
I mean,
we'll lay it to the guys down in the comments if you guys have got any thoughts about it. If there are any tricks or tips that you do or that you use when you go cold water diving or just regular diving to prep your eggs and your tanks, do's and don'ts, let us know in the comments. And if it's good enough, we might make it into a video. Yeah, no.
Commenter edition.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it today. And before we go, there's a lot of questions about my posters behind me not being straight. And it's really annoying people with severe OCD, including my wife. This weekend, I'm going to sort it out. So Tuesday's video, which is going to be my own video, the Lone Wolf Daily Deco with Sean, it will be sorted. Hopefully, maybe, if I can be bothered by that time. The reason why it's wonky and it's hard is actually they're being held up by fishing wire, because this is just, sorry to ruin the illusion, this is just a bit of plastic.
Behind the green curtain.
It's not real, but yeah, I'll sort those out. And then like Mark said on Thursday's video, we jokingly said about an update, didn't we, Mark, about Daily Deco and stuff. That is coming. There is going to be some slight tweaks to the channel, but yeah, we'll explain that later on down the line next week. Just to give you a little tease. Anyway, Mark, that's it.
Stay tuned.
You got anything else to say?
I don't think so. Obviously, keep putting your sort of questions down below because this is my favorite time of the week, sort of answering your questions. That's kind of what I'm here for. So if you have any interesting questions or anything that you're unsure about, then yeah, by all means, let us know down in the comments below. Don't forget to use the hashtag askmark, either at the front or the end, or somewhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter. Just hashtag Ask Mark, and it just makes it a little bit easier for us to find. And yeah, you can put it in any of our YouTube videos. You can put it on sort of Instagram post or sort of Facebook and whatnot. You can hunt down Sean on social media and just pester him. His phone number will be listed down in the description below, so you can just ask him.
Yeah, it's
and he'll take a little memo.
999. That's my number. 111.
555. 7621. No. But yeah, if you do have any sort of burning questions that you want us to answer, yeah, let us know down in the sort of comments below. Yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Yeah, I do enjoy sort of making these and answering your questions. The earlier you get them into us, the longer I get to sort of prepare. As you can see, I was very well prepared for today's video. I had my backup mask, I had a knife, I had a makeshift ruler to measure the distance between the grommets. But yeah, actually, if you could let us know as soon
I had my
as
coffee.
possible.
That's now empty.
You had your coffee.
In my Toy Story mug.
I had my tea.
Tea, get out!
I know. I'm not sure. Something's giving me heartburn. I don't know whether it was something I ate or whether it's because I've just been having so much coffee recently because I'm working from home. So I'm trying to cut back.
Loser. You need to drink more.
You should have seen the size of the jar of coffee that I bought and how much is left inside of it.
You think that's bad? I have bags and bags and bags of my own coffee that I make myself. I drink way too much, but I love it. I think I'd be dead.
Anyway, that's it. Yeah, just reanimated through coffee. That is it. We're not going to drag it out any longer because we've hit the 45-minute mark.
We have.
Which is what I'm after. So yeah, let us know any questions down in the sort of comments below. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.
Ladies, dudes. I was gonna say something else then, but I didn't. Yeah. Stay classy, scuba divers.
That'll do.
That'll do, Pete. That'll do.